Hello everyone. This appears to be a quiet part of the day. It's evening time, not too late, and sufficiently after sunset. So it appears to be quiet right now, but there's no guarantee it will remain this way. That will continue to be the case until I have a soundproof studio where I don't have to worry about sounds coming from the outside. Inside my home, it's very quiet, as it usually is. Other than the times when I'm playing music, yes, then you can hear music in my home and a little bit outside as well. So the purpose of making this video is just to give a short message. And it is my habit to only speak as much as is required. I'm not one of those who believes in redundantly talking on and on. If the point can be made in one word or in one phrase or in one sentence, then that is sufficient. So the point I'm making today is about the usefulness of Twitter as compared to YouTube. First of all, I'm not using any script. I have nothing written that is in front of me, not even an outline. But since I only have to make a point or two, I don't require an outline. So the first thing I want to say is the character limit on Twitter. When was it that anyone considered it to be a viable standard of communication? Of course, it is a means of communication, no doubt about that. It's a short messaging service, just like an SMS comes to a person's mobile number. Excuse me. The same way, a SMS that you can send out to the whole world. And in that short message, you can say even things of great significance. A lot of people who use Twitter, including myself for a time, saw that it's a good medium to remain in trivialities. So a person could post pictures of the mountains, of cars, of beautiful women, of flowers, and it's readily accepted and shared. That is one part of Twitter. There is another part of Twitter that thrives on or lives through creating and stirring controversies. And this creating and stirring of controversies comes, I believe, from people whose own lives are not settled. And because their own lives and their own minds are not settled, they must magnify their own negative existence on a platform where things are readily shared, and others of similar situation come together, pick a leader, and magnify that negativity. So you have two realms of Twitter. You have something beautiful, something positive, small reminders of beautiful things like glorious architecture, of natural beauty, small clips of birds and animals and humans enjoying life, small music clips, and then you have another side, and that is controversies, arguments, frustration, regardless of the issue that is taken. And I have been in a realm where for some time I hardly get any interactions. Someone told me about, I would say it was a couple of months ago, I guess, that I have literally zero troll appeal. So people who are looking for trouble or making trouble for others will find my Twitter account to be utterly uninteresting. I think that is a standard worth maintaining. Even people who are troublemakers take a look at my Twitter account and they say, this is not something I want to get involved in, and they stay away. And then for some time I realized, I think it was a gradual realization. It wasn't an aha moment or eureka, I discovered it. It wasn't like that. It was a gradual realization. I also enjoyed looking at pictures, and I still do. Pictures of mountains, pictures of the ocean, and natural beauty, things of that nature. And I've made this point before on Twitter as well, but the thing is that on Twitter, unless you get someone's attention and make your point in a few seconds, the other person, by habit or by conditioning, now doesn't have the attention span to pay attention to even where 30 seconds or a minute or a few minutes of attention is required. So that also, let me make a point about that. And then I'll get back to the point I was making. Just as a reminder, I'll bookmark this thought. I was about to make the point about product advertisements, products that are sold on Amazon. So that was the point I was about to make. Now the point that came to mind while I was about to make the point about Amazon Associates program and the product advertisements in accord with that is that people on Twitter, suppose I had 10 million followers, 10 million, and I advertised, let's take something which would be a product that a lot of people use. A mobile phone, how about that? Not an iPhone, not an Android phone, I'm just saying a mobile phone, which has a camera and excuse me. So you're looking at all those pretty pictures. I'm looking at all those pretty pictures, and I don't know whether others think of it this way or not, but I surely did. That all these pretty pictures that I'm looking at, someone had to have a camera to take these pictures. They could be high definition images, but that's possible with a good camera on a mobile device. You don't have to have a DSLR or a mirrorless camera where you spend a lot of money dedicated only to photography. So a good mobile phone with a 15 megapixel camera, 12 megapixel camera could take, in good lighting, a decent photograph. So I thought this would be an obvious connection for anyone to make. You are looking at photographs. Some are taken by professionals, but a lot of them are taken by amateurs in their everyday life. And you make the connection. Here's a photograph that means there had to be a photographer with some kind of a camera. Now I share the advertisement of the camera with my 10 million followers. And I share a picture taken with that mobile phone camera. The chances are 100% of the time that the picture would be shared by millions out of that 10 million. But if I share an advertisement for a mobile phone which has the very camera that took that picture, and it is asking for a business transaction, the payment of a sum of money on Amazon in this case, to acquire that very camera which took that picture. And of course, the mobile phone would do more than just take pictures. Number one, there would be a reluctance to share the advertisement for the product. But let's say out of 10 million, 1 million out of a 10 million do share that advertisement. How many of those 1 million do you think would be interested in actually buying that mobile phone with that camera? I don't have the statistics on that. Would it be a few thousand? A few hundred? 10? So you see, we started out with 10 million. You shared a picture, or I shared a picture, and most of those 10 million have no problem sharing that picture forward. You come from the picture to the camera, where there's a payment of money involved, you've already lost 1/10 of the interest remains. And that 1/10 of the interest is not a deep enough interest to cause an actual sale and purchase where the person is investing his own money, getting that camera, which comes with the mobile phone, to do what he wants or do what she wants with that phone and camera. So you have to also ask the question, do people on Twitter have the money to spend on these things? What if a lot of them don't? What if that is a reality? And let's also assume that there are those who have the money to spend. Now, I am advertising something. And I've taken my time to select a product which, if I needed, I would have bought. Say, for instance, an Android phone. I use an Android phone. And I was looking for one. Now that would be a specific circumstance. And somebody did the research to find on a massive website a camera, a phone, or let's call it a camera phone, which has the specifications I'm looking for. But more than just what I'm looking for, I say, well, that is a good pick. This is a good deal. I have come to know about it. Let me inform others as well. If I don't buy it, someone else would. So I share the advertisement. I don't have any reluctance in doing that. Because even if I'm not the final buyer, someone else could very well be. But that is not always the case. You see, the reluctance is not about the quality of the product. This is what I discovered. The reluctance is about having to do anything with the exchange of goods and services and the payment of money. That is what I think the truth is. That there are people, a lot of people, who simply want to exist in a world where things are free. And where it comes to the exchange of goods and services or the payment of money for an item that you would yourself use, a kind of a psychological barrier has arisen. So this barrier is because the habit of the person has become such, the conditioning has become such, that pictures are free, songs are free, information is free. You can look at beautiful castles from Germany, you can look at chateaus in France, and castles in England, Ireland or Scotland, temples and beautiful buildings in India, forts from India. You could look at anything. All that looking at is free. But to produce that, well, first of all, to produce a castle or a fort is an effort more enormous than most could ever do. It's a team effort, of course, and from planning to execution, it's a gigantic effort, let alone building a castle. Just a photograph of a castle. Somebody made a trip, went to that location, looked at the lighting, the time of the day, adjusted his own camera, focus, whatever, exact spot from which that picture was to be taken, took that picture and put it on social network. Now all that effort and equipment cannot be free. It should not be free. But to look at that picture, that is free. Now there is no way that the sharing of that photograph could be limited only to the photographer or the author. Anyone can take that picture. If it's not watermarked, then that is a problem. If it's watermarked, that's a good idea. So anyone can take that picture and share it. Now, if I had 10 million followers, as I was giving the example, and I took that picture myself and I watermarked the image, and 8 million of my followers shared that picture with the watermark, then I have earned nothing, not a penny. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, someone asks me, I would like the original photograph in full high resolution without the watermark. And depending on the number of buyers, I can set a price for that photograph. So out of 8 million, how many would you think would come forward with this request? They would come forward. Come forward with the request that they require, or they want that photograph in full definition, high definition, without the watermark, so they can keep it for themselves. And if then they choose to share it, I reserve the right to have earnings. Or I could forbid that person from sharing that photograph. Now, all of this comes under ethics. It comes under business. It comes under private property, intellectual rights, and so on and so forth. But the environment that has been created on Twitter, because that's the platform I've used the most, is oblivious for the most part to all these things. And there would be other examples as well, like sharing an article which is behind a paywall, and immediately people complain. They say, well, I want to read the article, but there's a paywall. That is unfair. Why don't I have access to information? Why should I pay for reading this article? I'll go to some other news source. So people who are producing and giving content away for free, if it actually is free, no money earned from advertisers, no money earned from subscriptions, etc., then that spoils the free market. Free market doesn't mean free goods and free services. That is not a free market. That's an open market. And it's actually not even a market, because you're not selling anything. You're just giving things away. And what are the things people give away? Things that have no value at all. They consider these things to be of no value, so they give them away. So Twitter, in my experience, has been becoming a place where things are given away. And when you introduce something where things cannot just be taken, then that psychological conditioning itself creates the barrier that constrains a person from leaving that fictitious world that he had become a part of and coming back into the real world, where if you want to buy something, you have to pay money for it. that is a natural connection people have always made, and that is the right thing. You have, you want something, the maker, the seller, they have fixed a value which covers the cost and arranges for a certain profit. But then eventually you get the ownership of that item, whether it's a picture or it's the camera with which that picture was taken. And this is all of what I had to say about this subject. I began by saying 26 minutes ago about the comparison between Twitter and YouTube. But all of these 26 minutes have been about Twitter, not about YouTube. And why that is the case, I will make clear when I make the second part of this video. This video will have just one static graphic, nothing else. There will be another video with the same format. And maybe I would realize that when it comes to the free giving away of things, there isn't very much difference between Twitter and YouTube. But one difference that I can state in a few seconds is this. Twitter imposes a character limit, 280 characters. You can put a URL in it. You could put a whole book in the URL. But YouTube allows you freedom of time, of expression, of audio and video content. On Twitter, the limit for the video, the length is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. There is no such limit on YouTube. So already you can see which is the superior platform. So about at this time now, I have said everything that I needed to say, and I'm going to end this video here. It's going to be about 29 minutes. So before the 30-minute mark, I would have already made my point. Excuse me. I'm the one making all the noise today. So I made my point, and if you've spent this time listening, then thank you for your time. I hope what I said made sense. And this decision I've made to move over more to YouTube as compared to Twitter is based on the things that I've said in this video. So I've said what I had to say, and I hope the point is made clearly. So thank you very much for your time, for your attention, and take care, and goodbye.